Hey guys, it's Alyssa from AlyssaNalani.com. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is the first in a 5-part series called Build a Better Year 2021. If you've been following my channel for some time, then you might remember that last year I did a series called Build a Better Year 2020. And in those videos, I went through my goal setting and planning process as I was preparing for a new year. And I got such a great response from that series that I decided to do it again as I am preparing for 2021. Now, this time around, I tried to put a little bit more thought and prep work into the series than I did last year. Last year, I kind of made it up as I went along and just added videos and topics on things that I thought would be useful and interesting. And I think it turned out pretty well. I'm actually quite proud of that playlist and I like the way it turned out. But this time I wanted to be a little bit more concise and condensed in the series. So this time I am doing the series in 5 videos. So starting with this one, there'll be one every day this week, Monday through Friday. And that'll be the bulk of the series. If I decide to add on to it later on this month or maybe next month in January, I will, but the bulk of the series will be in the next 5 videos. So that's what you can expect from me. Now, there will be some crossover between what I said last year and what I'm going to say this year. There will be some topics that I did last year that I won't necessarily address in the bulk of these 5 videos. So if you didn't watch last year's series or you want a refresh, I absolutely recommend that you check it out because there'll be some things that I don't talk about this time around. Again, necessarily. Not sure if I might bring it up here and there, but the series is linked below if you want to check it out. And yeah, so there's some crossover, but there are definitely going to be some things that I won't intentionally talk about that I did talk about last year. So just so you know that there are a couple of differences to look out for. Now, one of the other things that is different this year is this paperwork that I have in front of me. This is a companion guide that I wanted to put together. Last year I threw together a worksheet for one of the steps in the process. And that went over pretty well for those of you who used it. And so I thought this year maybe I would try something similar. And one worksheet turned into, oh, maybe I can do these worksheets, and it turned into like a whole a whole guide, which is several pages long, not meant for you to just kind of have to slug through a bunch of reading. But there are several worksheets that you can run through if you'd like to. And then I basically just kind of wrote out what I plan to say in the series. So it's kind of a written version of what I plan to say in these videos. So if you would like a copy of this, it is free on my blog. You can check it out. You can download a copy, print it out if you want to, read it off, your device, your iPad, your tablet, whatever, or your computer, and go through the guide along with the videos. And again, it's free for you to use whenever, and hopefully that is something that is useful to you. Now, this copy is actually kind of a crummy copy. My printer is kind of not doing its job well, so some of the color is not what it's supposed to be. It looks a lot better on my file, and hopefully what your printer comes out with. But just to let you know, this is kind of a first draft copy that I did after my initial edits. It is currently going through some proofreading so that I can make sure to get you something that is good quality. But anyway, if you're looking at the graphic here and maybe thinking it doesn't look that great. Yeah, no, it doesn't look that great. It's a little discolored, so, but that's the fault of my printer. So anyway, there's the step-by-step guide that you can use. It's free. You can download it. The link to that blog post is on my website. Actually, it might not be a blog post. It might be on the sidebar. I'll let you know. It'll be in the description box below. Okay, now the other thing that I wanted to talk about is some of the tools that I'm personally using. So I put the step-by-step guide together in the event that maybe you don't have any goal-setting tools of your own right now, or if you're not planning on buying something for 2021. So in my personal planning, I've already chosen my 2021 planner. It is going to be the Full Focus Planner. I'm currently using it to close out this year. It is a quarterly planner. I have a video on the channel already. It's linked down in the description box if you want to flip through how this planner works. It has a built-in goal setting system already, which I really, really like. So if you're looking for something that has some of that built in, this would be a great option. And again, you can watch the video for more information on that. The other tool that I have used this year for the first time, for those of you who follow me, you know that I love my Powersheets. So this is a goal setting planner that isn't like a regular, you know, day agenda or anything like that. This is specifically to initiate and track your goal setting for an entire year or 6 months. They have a 6-month version. And I highly recommend Powersheets. I cannot say enough about them. There's another video linked below where I did a live flip through on the day that they launched for 2021. So I cannot sing the praises of Powersheets enough. And I will be using it this year, this coming year, because I used them this year. So this is my 2020 set, and this is my 2020, or my end of 2020 planner. Let me show you really quick my 2021, put this aside. This is my 2021 set of Powersheets. And then this is my 2021 first quarter planner. The full focus planner is a quarterly planner, so you need 4 to complete the year. And this is the first one that I'll be using opening 2021 with. So just full disclosure, I'm not suggesting that this is going to be like a replacement for some of these tools that are already out there. Let me finish that thought here in just a second. So this is what I'm using now. This is what I plan to use in 2021. The other thing that I have in front of me is my journal. This is a Growth Roots journal. It's called a growth book. And I did a video on this as well. This is my journal that I plan to use in 2021. Okay, so I recommend having a journal. I recommend having a planner of some kind. And I also recommend having a goal setting system of some kind. Okay, and these are some of the things that I use. Again, I have videos on all 3 of these tools if you want to check them out. They are linked down below. Now, the reason why I put the step-by-step sort of companion guide to this video series is because I understand that maybe you don't have a budget for buying something like Powersheets or like Full Focus or anything else. There are other goal-setting tools you can use. And maybe that's not in your budget. Maybe you're really tight on your budget and you'd like to set some goals, but this isn't something you can do right now, and I understand that. The other reason why I kind of put this together is because maybe you haven't really been intentional about setting goals in the past and you want to, but you're not quite sure where to start. And so this, I was hoping could maybe serve a couple of purposes. One, if it's not within your budget to buy anything right now, then you have this to work with. 2, if you want to get your feet wet, but you're not quite sure where to put your money, you're not quite sure to make that jump, then maybe this can help get your feet wet and kind of help you orient you in the goal setting process, if you will, and help you kind of see what you might want to use, how your brain works on paper, if this is something that's kind of new for you to navigate. So I really wanted to have a resource that could help you solve a couple of challenges, if that's kind of where you're at. So help you get your feet wet, give you something to work with if you don't have a budget for buying something right now, give you something to kind of play around with and try out. That's what this is for. So I just wanted you to know that I'm not trying to be like the end-all be-all, you know, resource for goal setting, because this is something I'm still learning for myself. But again, because I know that budgets can be tight, because I know that when you're trying something new, you're not quite sure what to do, I wanted to have that for you. But at the same time, I do recommend having tools like Full Focus or Powersheets. Definitely recommend you having a journal. It doesn't have to be Growth Roots. It could be just a composition book you get at, you know, your local grocery store or at Walmart or whatever. So I'll probably do a video about having planners and journals later on. But anyway, I kind of wanted to have a disclaimer of some kind and kind of let you know where I'm coming from and what my intentions are for sharing this and for talking about these products, so on and so forth. So I hope that makes sense. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them down below in the comments. So I think that is all the preamble we need. Let's go ahead and get into this. I will be using this as sort of my, my framework for what I'm going to discuss. So like I said, there are going to be 5 videos in the series. and we're going to cover the first 2 today. When you print out or when you pull up the file on your computer or your device or whatever, I did print this double-sided, so I'll be flipping my pages, and you'll see the table of contents has all the different sections. We have 6 core sections, an introduction, and then a resource list, okay? So today we're going to be going over the first 2 sections. Now we also have, like I said, there's an introduction, just some words from me, just a little letter from me to introduce what you're going to read. Then there's also a supplies list at the end, or I'm sorry, on the next page. You just need something to write with, maybe some highlighters if you like to color code. I suggest having maybe some snacks, maybe something to sip on. I've got my water here, mainly because when I'm talking, I get thirsty, so I've got that over here to the side. I also recommend you have some interrupted time. I'm sorry, yeah, I need you to have some time where you're going to be interrupted all the time by the phone or your kids or whatever. No, uninterrupted time where you can sit down and work on some of these sections just kind of in one sitting. There are 6, like I said, and I would recommend, depending on how you work, maybe having at least 30 minutes. You might, run through some of this in 15 or 10, but just set aside some decent time after you see me kind of work through this. Maybe that'll give you some idea of what time you might need, but just make sure that you're kind of doing this at a time where there's not a whole lot going on. And then, of course, a printed copy of the worksheets here in the guide if you want to work off of them, if you want to use them at all, or you can read the prompts off the worksheets and then write them down in a notebook or something like that if you'd prefer. So those are the supplies, that's the intro, that's the table of contents. All right, let me make sure I'm still in frame. Okay. All right, so the first section we have is year in review. And this is exactly what I hope it sounds like. We are going to review this year that we've gone through, this year that we're closing up, reflect on it, ask some questions, kind of get a gut check, heart check on how we're feeling about it, and just give us a good space from which we can move forward. And we're reviewing 2020. And I don't have to explain 2020 to anybody and how difficult it has been, how messy and chaotic it has been. So this is where we're going to ask some questions. I have 12 questions on this review sheet, this worksheet that we're going to ask. And, 2020 has meant a lot of things to us collectively. We've all gone through a lot of the same things together, and we've also gone through things individually or in our family or community units. And the last video that I did, not the last one, but the one before that, where I talked about self-care, I talked about how we really need to allow ourselves the space to take care of ourselves this time around, or this time of year, as we're in the holiday season. And I really feel strongly about making sure that I say that I want to acknowledge the fact that you may have gone through something this year that was very traumatic, that was, where you might have experienced a loss or hardship. And I don't want to ever, talk about goal setting or looking towards the new year and planning and all of that without really taking time to acknowledge that and to let you know that I understand that maybe you've gone through something that I didn't, or I know you've gone through things that I haven't. And I feel the weight of that, and I don't want you to ever think that I might be, or that it is right for anybody to gloss over people's experiences. If you are looking at videos on planning or goal setting or whatever, and you're feeling discomfort or anxiety or anything like that because of what you might have gone through this year, be gentle with yourself. Don't think that you have to pick up on January 1st and everything's going to be okay. If you need to grieve something, grieve it. If you need to talk to somebody about something, then talk with somebody. If you need to take time to process information, take that time. It has been a very difficult year in ways that we could not have anticipated. And so I always want to make sure that I'm acknowledging that for those who need it. I want you to know that you are seen, that you are loved, that God has a plan and a purpose for your life. And, I can't guarantee anything, and I can't say, oh, tomorrow's going to be a better day. But in the grand scheme of things, God has better in store and planned for us. And however that manifests itself in your life, however that happens in your life, just know that you're loved and you are seen. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. I wanted you to know that before we go through this process, because that's some heavy stuff that we've had on our plates. So, okay, so the questions, I'm just going to run through them. I'm not going to necessarily do the activities or the exercises on camera because it would take too much time for me to go through that with you all, but I'm going to walk you through how it's set up. Okay, make sure I'm still in frame. We're good. Okay, so 12 questions, like I said, and they are as follows. We have, in a few sentences, describe what kind of year 2020 was for you. Okay, you might need more than just the space that I give you, which is why I said, if you want to do this in a notebook or something, feel free, absolutely feel free to do so. But yeah, just describe what kind of year 2020 was for you in at least a few sentences. If you need to process that in like a whole journal entry, honey, go for it. Next, we have to list 3 wins or things that went well this year. So at least 3 things that went well. And depending on what 2020 was, you might have a difficult time kind of picking some things that went well. Maybe that's a struggle, but 3 things. And I'm going to pick some random things off the top of my head. You're still here. That's one thing. That's a win. That's a huge win. Maybe you ate breakfast this morning. That's a win for this year. That's a win for today. Let's see. You kept your job. If you still have a job this year, that's a huge win. If your family is still together, that's a huge win. If you, you know, friends, like there are all different kinds of things we can be grateful for that are wins that maybe even, you know, in years past, you wouldn't have considered them specifically. We should always be grateful for everything we have, but maybe little things, quote unquote, might feel bigger this time around. So be creative if you have to, but there are always things that we can consider wins or things that went well. Okay, things that did not go well this year. So here's where this gets messy. What somebody else is grateful for or what was a win for them might have been a loss for you, right? What I might put on this list, you might put on this list. You know, my husband still has his job. Maybe yours doesn't, or maybe you don't. So again, this is a really challenging exercise, but let's be honest on the page and let's kind of tackle what we have in front of us. So listing 3 things that did not go well. I did not meet any of my goals this year because it was such a tough year. Whatever you have to write down. Okay, and again, this might be difficult. I don't know. Well, you know, it's different for all of us. All right, next we have, how have you changed this year? How has 2020 changed you? How have your circumstances changed? What lessons have you learned? There's a typo here. Like I said, this is being proofread as I am going through this process of getting this recorded. So anyway, this is not the final draft. What gave you most joy? What frustrated you the most? What was the biggest challenge? What are you grieving this year? Again, I want to acknowledge what people might be grieving this year. What do you wish had been different? I think that could be a whole page on its own, but just a few things. What do you wish had been different? And then what are some of your hopes for 2021? So we're acknowledging what has happened. We're acknowledging what we might be struggling with. We acknowledge what might have changed. And then now we're looking toward the next year. We're looking with hope for what is to come. Okay, and that's the first exercise. Now, again, like I said, if you want to use a journal, go ahead and do that. If you want to journal more things, if you want to go online and look up like journaling prompts or something like that, feel free to do that. If you want to take more time with this, run with it, because I think this is a really important exercise. Sometimes in the frenetic, chaotic busyness of our society, especially here in the States, it can be easy to forget to slow down. It can be easy to forget to just kind of take a step back, look around, notice our surroundings, notice how we're feeling about our surroundings and how we want to respond to those things, what's going on in our lives. A lot of times I think that we might be used to reacting to everything, right? Things happen to us, we react to it. And that's no sustainable way to live a healthy lifestyle. So reviewing and reflecting, I think, are such great practices, and that's why I wanted to start off the year doing that. So that's the first section. We have reflection and reviewing. The second section is called Consider Your Life. And this is also a reflection exercise, but just with a little bit of a different purpose. So we're gonna set this aside. So section 2, Consider Your Life. I opened up with a psalm, and this, let me just say this, just in case, because I can't assume anything of anybody who will be watching these videos. As a Christian, I'm going to come at goal setting and planning from a Christian perspective. So my worldview, all of that is going to affect how I handle or how I approach things like goal setting. And so this is going to be very much from a Christian perspective. Just so you know, it does say at the beginning, a Christian woman's guide to setting goals so you can live well and stay focused all year round. So that's kind of my positioning. Those are my thoughts, I guess. And that's what you're going to see a lot of, especially in this exercise. We're actually going to be looking up scripture. So just so you know, in case maybe you don't come from that positioning as well. All right, so I'm starting off the chapter with Psalm 90, verse 12, which says, "Teach us to number our days that we may get a heart of wisdom." And that's from the English Standard. This is a psalm from Moses. In fact, I just found out, I think Psalm 90 might be if I remember correctly, the oldest psalm in the Bible. And it was written by Moses. So he's asking God to teach us to number our days that we may get a heart of wisdom. Now, without kind of looking at the context of the verse or the entire psalm, the immediate message is pretty clear, at least for me. We need to ask God to help us to value our days so that we can be wise with how we use them, right? So teach us to number our days means teach us to understand that our days are numbered, that we only have so many of them. Our lives are finite, which means that we should take our lives seriously. And not only is our life finite, we don't know how many days we have, right? I'm sure we can all think of lives that were cut off what we would consider too short. So we don't know how many days we have. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Our circumstances could change, so on and so on. So we should take our lives seriously. We should want to take better care of our bodies. We should want to be able to take care of our families better. We should want to do our best on our jobs and our work, so on and so forth, and our relationships. And then next, to take that a step further, if you're a Christian, then not only should we number our days and remember that they're finite, but also know that our lives were bought with a price, with the ultimate price, paid for with the ultimate sacrifice of Jesus Christ. And so our lives are precious to him, and he wants us to live our lives with purpose and with meaning and in all seriousness. When I say seriousness, I don't mean that we have to be serious all the time, but with correct regard for how precious and finite our lives are. So that's kind of what I talk about here in the first page. And the first exercise is to read the scriptures, to look up the scriptures, and then read the scriptures and then write down some notes about what you think those scriptures are talking about when it comes to our lives and our plans, okay? And if you don't have a Bible, honey, we've got Google. Google is awesome. You just Google like Bible Gateway, or you can even just put in the verse in the Google search and it'll pull up, the verses from the Bible. So you can Google those verses, check them out, and then see what they have to say about our lives and our plans. I'm going to put this over here. There are 5 altogether, and that is the first exercise of section 2. Now, with those verses and your notes in mind, we also should take a look at our life as a whole. So we know that they're finite. We know that every day counts. We know that we don't have control over everything, right? 2020 has taught us that, if nothing else. We don't have control over much. And we should look at our lives with a big picture in mind. So imagine kind of taking a bird's eye view, kind of panning out further and further, and taking a bird's eye view or a wide angle look at your life. And you want to consider certain things. What do you want to accomplish in your life? What impact do you want to make? What are the values that matter most in your life? And maybe you don't quite know how to answer that yet, right? Sometimes we can look at our lives and go, I have no idea what matters to me right now because I'm in survival mode. And if that's you, I get it. I totally get it. Sometimes these questions are harder to answer than at other times. But what I'm going to encourage you to do in this exercise is we're going to look at 4 chunks of time, and I want you to dream. Okay, especially if this is kind of a really hard season and you're not quite sure what the big picture is, I want you to dream. And dreams mean that anything can happen. Anything is possible. Don't think too realistically if that's something that is, what am I trying to say? Don't self-edit. Sometimes we think, oh, that'd be really great, but I can't because. Don't self-edit. Do not think about this in terms of what is immediately possible for you right now. I want you to dream. And the 4 chunks of time we're going to look at are 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years. Now, obviously, this does not span your entire life. It's just a portion of it. And so we're just looking at just a snapshot of time, or 4 snapshots of time. And you're going to look at what I'm calling your big picture dreams. And again, as realistic or unrealistic as you want. And here it is. I was actually looking for this. It says, right from the spaces you constantly edit and check with duty, responsibility, and necessity. In other words, like I said, we often think about, oh, that would be really great, but I can't because. Take that can't out and say, what would I do if I could, right? It might not be available to you right now, but what would I do if I could? What would I do if the opportunity came along? What would I do if money weren't an issue? What would I do if space or time weren't issues? What would I do if I didn't have any, these particular barriers that I think I might have now? What are the dreams that you don't necessarily discuss with anybody else? They're just kind of deep within your heart. What passions do you wish you could pursue if you could? So these are the kinds of things I want you to think about. So actually, this is important too. Let me just go over this. There are 2 caveats that I have here, and let me just go ahead and say them out loud in the video. First off, this next worksheet that you're about to do, I do not want them to stir up discontentment in your heart. Okay, so I am inviting you to do this exercise with the knowledge that, again, like I was saying before, this might be a season of your life that's particularly challenging or does not look like anything that you would prefer, right? And we'll talk about seasons of your life in another section. And it could be anything. It could be financial, it could be marital, it could be spiritual, it could be in regards to your health. You could be in a situation that's so overwhelming, you're not quite sure what to do besides just put one foot in front of the other. And so again, I'm acknowledging these things. I want you to know that this is not something just to kind of go, whatever, and just kind of sweep it under the rug. This is serious stuff that you're probably going through. And I want to acknowledge the fact that this isn't going to solve your problems or fix your problems, but I don't want it to stir up discontentment in your heart and feel bitter about your situation. What I hope the exercises in this guide will do, or in these videos will help you to process what's going on and help you to have hope for what is possible. We can't control so much, but we can control how we show up for our lives. We can control how we respond to things. And if you're having troubles in those areas, maybe you need to talk to somebody. Maybe you need some counseling or some mentoring or something like that. But in the event that maybe you're, I struggle in making certain comments because I don't want to what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say something that will make somebody's experience non-valid. I don't want to invalidate somebody's experience, if that makes sense. If you're going through something really difficult, that is a valid experience, and I hope that you get the help that you need. I hope that you seek out the people who are going to help you out. I hope that you have resources that are going to help you through whatever you're going through. So I don't want to invalidate anybody's experience and just say, oh, you just have to write some stuff down and you'll be fine. Like that is the exact opposite of what I want to do. What I do hope this does, if you choose to use this or something else, is that it gives you something to help you have some hope. Okay? Now, on the flip side, and I didn't get into this on these pages, on the flip side, if you're more like me, and maybe you're just not making wise decisions because you're lazy, or maybe you're not using the resources that you do have in front of you, and then you're thinking, oh my goodness, my life is so blah, 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 And then when you have options, when you have resources in front of you and maybe you're just not taking advantage of them, there are different places on the spectrum that we all kind of fall on. And I don't want to be like, oh, just write stuff down, your problems will be fixed, when really it could be something completely serious and needing something more. I feel like that's a long caveat, but I feel like it's important because so many different people watch videos, and I just don't want discontentment to be stirred up in your heart because of something I said, okay? So I go into more of that sort of in here. Second caveat, I'm just gonna leave it there. Second caveat is that I don't want to suggest in any way, shape, or form that if you write something down, if you put your dreams on paper, that it's gonna happen. I personally don't believe in manifestation in the sense that if I think it, if I put it out in the universe or whatever, however the different ways that manifestation is presented, that'll happen because I put it out there. That's not how I believe, and so I'm not suggesting that. And so I kind of go into that a little bit here. If you believe in manifestation, you know, that's, hey, I'm not knocking what you believe. I'm just saying that's not what how I function. And so I just want to make sure that you don't think that I think just because you wrote it down that the expectation is that it's going to happen. So just kind of where I'm coming from. All right, so this is what the worksheets look like. So 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. All right. And I just want you to dream on the page. Just dream on the page, big picture dreams. What would you love to happen in your life? What would you do if you didn't have certain barriers? And here's the thing. God is a God of big. And he's the God of showing, he's the God who wants to show up in your life in a big way. And that may be in the ways that you want. It may be in ways that you weren't even thinking about. It may be in ways that maybe you would think you don't want right now. And he's the God of serendipity, of surprises, of grace that you weren't looking for. And so dream big and pray big. Ask God and tell God, I know you've said this in your word. And if you're familiar with God's word, you know, get familiar with the word so you know to pray it back to him. I know you said this in your word. I'm expectant. I'm waiting for you to show up big in my life. And he honors the prayers of the sincere heart. And he wants to give to you. That may not be financially. That might not be in your health. That might not be in your relationships. That might not be, you know, in the physical possessions, in the way that you think you need or that you really do need. He might not answer in the way that you want right now. But rest assured, because I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, your prayers are going to be answered. God works in ways that sometimes we don't understand, but he does want to give generously to you, and he's going to give to you in the ways that you absolutely need. So pray hard. Be patient. I know that's something that's really hard for me. Be patient, pray continuously, dream big, pray big, all of the things. So that's a whole other video. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna stop there before I talk myself into a hole I can't get out of. So anyway, I want you to dream big on the page, and that is section 2. Okay, that is section 2. Consider your life, and just to kind of recap, you're considering your life in two ways. You're considering the fact that your life is finite and that it is precious, okay? And then you're also considering, what are your big picture dreams, okay? So I know my life has meaning, it has purpose. How do I look at my life with a big picture, sort of wide angle lens view? And how do I want to sort of look beyond what my circumstances are currently and see where God can open doors, what he might have in store for me, so on and so forth. So those are the first 2 sections. I hope that I explained that well. I hope that I didn't overemphasize certain things. As I was going through this process, there were just a couple of thoughts that are really important for me, or I feel are important for me to say, so that I can encourage you as well as I possibly can, if that makes sense. Especially because it's been such a hard year. It's something that is important for me to do in the best way that I know how with my fumbling words. So I hope that was encouraging. I hope that this kind of gives you some tools that you can use. If you print this off on the day that this is posted and you go through this without watching all the videos, go for it. That's totally fine. You do not have to wait for all the videos to be posted. But do know that if you're watching this after the week of December, what's the day today? After December 7, so the week of December 7, then all the videos have been posted. This is all available to you. You can use it. And again, if I feel like I want to take the time to do so, I might add some more videos to the playlist later on. But this is kind of the meat and potatoes, if you will. Okay. Tomorrow's video will be section 3. We'll be talking about brain dumping. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that in my original series last year, that was my original worksheet, I think, if I remember correctly. I had a worksheet for brain dumping, and I have one in this guide as well. So brain dumping, really, really great exercise. I think it's super important to do as we're kind of clearing the decks for action, clearing the decks for getting to work. So we'll be doing that in tomorrow's video. If you want to know more, like I said, about the Powersheets, the full focus planner, and maybe getting a growth book, I highly recommend you check out those videos below. This is next year's lineup, and this is this year's lineup. So check those out if you're interested. I also have, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh yes, I will also, 2 things. At the time of this recording, this is the timeline, I guess. Later on in the month after this series, probably next week, I'll be doing a video about my spiritual growth tools, books and things I'm going to be using in 2021, and then my planner stack, my planner and journal stack. So you'll see some of these things again, and I'll kind of talk about how they'll be used in tandem, how I plan to use them, so on and so forth. So look forward to that. And then next week on the 15th of December, I will be doing a video in collaboration with Tamara, the paper and pen girl. She is doing the 30 days of planner commitment all through this December, along with several other planner babes in the community. Videos are going out every day, 1 through 30, and there are giveaways on some of the ladies' channels that are going on. So make sure that you watch all the videos. I'll have Tamara's channel linked down below so you can start from the beginning and work your way through this series. I will be posting on Tuesday, is it Tuesday? Tuesday the 15th. Maybe that's Wednesday. Oh, mercy. You know what? I have a planner right in front of me. Let's take a look because I don't remember. Yeah, it's Tuesday the 15th. Okay, so Tuesday the 15th, I'll have a video going out for that series. Y'all, I'm filming in the afternoon. It's been a long day. Anyway, so watch out for that. It will be a premiere video, which means that on the day that it is posted, you can live chat with everybody who is viewing it. I'll be on live. We can chat about the video as it's going and have some fun there. So it will be going up at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 a.m. Oh my goodness. I don't know what time zone, what time zone chart I'm looking at. 9 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern. Whoo, Lord Jesus, help me. 8 a.m. Central. I'm in Central Time, so it'll be 8 a.m. for me, and then y'all figure out your timeline wherever you are in the world. So 8 a.m. Tuesday, December 15, premiering. It'll be one of the videos in the 30-day to planner commitment collaboration. Look out for that. Anyway, I think that is all the things that I needed to tell you all. Again, the Build a Better Year companion guide is linked down below. Check it out. Print it off, read it from your device, whatever. If you have any questions, you know where to leave them. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, feel free to do so there if you're on that social media platform. And yeah, that is it. We're gonna end it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope, again, that this has been useful to you as you're thinking about what you wanna accomplish next year, the goals you wanna set. We're gonna get some work done, you guys. We're gonna get some work done. It's been a crazy year. We don't know what next year is gonna bring. We don't have control over a lot of things, but God has control over everything. Amen, thank you, Jesus. And we do have control over a few things. And so let's make sure that we are managing and stewarding the things that we do have control over, that we're being thoughtful and intentional about the decisions we do make, that we're living our lives proactively rather than reactively, making sure that we use the tools and resources that we have available to us. And one more thing, and I promise I'm done. We can make all the plans we want. We can fill our planners, we can schedule our days, we can have all our goals set up, we can make all the resolutions. But things happen that will put a wrench in those plans. Your season will change, your season of life will change, where everything is topsy-turvy and gets thrown upside down. Something adjusts, something goes wrong, something good happens and you have to adjust for that. Anything can change. And so you want to be able to hold on to your goals and resolutions with a firm grip, with confidence, but don't have a death grip on them. Don't hold them so tightly that you can't move and change with life, right? So just encouraging you as you're kind of thinking about what this year has been, what next year will be, or what you might want to, you can't think about what next year will be because we don't know. But as you're thinking about how you're going to show up for next year, think about, holding your goals with confidence, but not having a death grip. And also having, to kind of confuse the metaphor a little bit, living your life with open hands to receive whatever God has for you, okay? So those are my thoughts. Those are my rambles. I hope, again, that made sense, that was useful, and I'm gonna shut up now and end this video. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I will talk to you all tomorrow. Have a great rest of the day, and yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.